I want to give a big shout out to you, hey, the viewers, the family watching this video. I definitely appreciate y'all. And I want to let y'all know I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for continuing to rock with me and show me support. I'm definitely appreciative and grateful for all y'all support and interaction. So I just wanted to get that out here. As you all may know, and the new folks don't know, I'm a licensed attorney, licensed in multiple places. I always got to toss this disclaimer out to keep the folks at the Bar Association off of your boy, because I don't want them to think I'm giving legal advice that's not between the attorney and the client. So if you're looking for financial or a legal expert, find a professional in your area. Don't ever listen to a talking head on YouTube. This includes me. Let's talk about it. Y'all saw the title on the thumbnail, Redefining Success. I don't know, y'all let me know, but I think for the most part, and this is probably terrible, but most times in our lives, we tend to let other people or societal norms define what we as individual, you, me, the people watching, consider as a success. Let's just think about it. Like, even some of the things that society indoctrinates on us coming up as kids, especially when I was like, oh man, you got to go to college. Everybody go to college. If you don't go to college, you're a loser. Like, literally, that kind of was pushed on my generation. I can't speak for y'all. It was pushed on my generation. Like, yo, you got to go to college. Getting a degree is the real next big thing. If you don't got a degree, you aren't going to be able to compete. So graduating high school, I'm like, man, I think I got to go to college, because if I don't, they're going to tell me I'm going to be struggling out here in these streets. Where actually studies have shown that people who get college degrees actually start out financially behind people who have just high school diplomas. Why? Because they go 4 years without being in the workforce, 4 years without gaining any experience, and 4 years, a lot of times, accumulating a lot of debt. So I say that to say we got to talk about redefining success. And how do we define success? Not only in life, but we're going to focus on the financials, of course. But how do you define financial success? Financial sex? Is that what I said? Financial sex is only one definition. But financial success, how do you define it? For me, it's really not a number, it's a feeling. And I know that sounds wild, like, yo, DFD, success. Like, yes, I got a number that I think I want to have and that I'm going to need for a certain type of retirement. But financial success for me isn't necessarily wrapped around a number. So let's tune into this video. It's a short video, then we're going to circle back and talk about it.
Well, the definition of being financially successful is definitely changing. More Americans say it looks less like retiring on a beach or buying a luxury car and more like just living comfortably. Still, many Americans say they're not even there yet. Roughly 90% do not consider themselves financially successful. However, nearly 30% believe they will never be. That's according to a new report from Bankrate. Vanessa, you took a look at what people can do now to help their financial goals later.
Yeah, Colin. So as you kind of alluded to here, more folks are moving away from defining financial success as becoming, for example, a millionaire or making enough money to quit working altogether. Instead, common signs of financial success seem to be about living comfortably, being financially prepared for the future, and living debt-free. And we're seeing more age groups push back the timeline for achieving their version of financial success. So we're seeing Gen Zers expecting the success in their 30s. Millennials, we're seeing nearly a third of them saying they will reach those goals in their 40s. And then older generations seem to be a little bit more pessimistic. About 37% of both Gen Xers and baby boomers say that they will never achieve financial success. To be successful, many say their situations really would need to change. And so they would point to a few things like making more money, growing their savings, paying down debt. But the bottom line, financial success really doesn't happen overnight. There are many things you can do now, though. If you want to start working towards your goals, you might want to create a budget, for example, build that savings, even if it's just a very little bit at a time. And if you are trying to chip away at your credit card debt, consider calculating how much it would cost, for example, to transfer your debt to a 0% balance transfer card in order to maybe just save on interest.
Yeah, times are tough, and especially as we continue to point out inflation. still at an all-time high, Vanessa.
We got to talk about that video. How do you define financial success? For me, it's not necessarily a number. It's more of a comfort level or feeling. And I'm going to be honest, I honestly won't know. I won't know if I'm truly financially successful until the time I decide to hang it up for work. If all my numbers and calculations play out right. But as it stands right now, being in the workforce, for me, being financially successful, it really boils down to a few things. One, do I make an income that allows me to pay my bills and be able to put some money away for future expenses and a little bit of fun while maintaining one job? Literally, if you can do that while having one job, you have a certain peace of mind and a certain level of financial success, because that's not everyone's path. I've been at a point where, hey, for the guys who've been at the channel a long time, y'all probably know what was a side job that I did as an attorney. I was a licensed attorney, and I would leave from getting a not guilty verdict at trial and go directly from the courthouse to the call center in my suit and sell people credit cards and balance transfers at a call center. As a licensed attorney, I did that for years. So it's a blessing, and there's a certain level of financial success to be able to make enough to pay your bills, to put away some for saving and pay some future expenses or pay towards future expenses because you got a little bit of excess. That's kind of what I define as financial success. If you can do that, even if you do have credit card debt, you are ahead of the ball game, because if you have more than what you need, that means you have the ability and you have the extra income to be able to make a difference to change your situation. Whether that's, okay, I'm gonna put more towards saving, or I'm gonna put more towards paying off debt. At the end of the day, like the video said, being a success financially doesn't come down to one or two things. I think the big thing for me is, long as you have good financial decisions for the most part, a majority of the time over a long period of time. Well, what do you mean by that? If you get a vehicle that, let's say, okay, let's say I purchased a new vehicle, right? I want to give y'all an example. Let's say I purchased a new vehicle, right? And that vehicle was probably a little bit more than what my budget could afford, right? But I do make enough to pay it off. Or if I don't make enough to pay it off, I start doing Instacart or call center or a door-to-door kitchen utensil salesman or something. But I do extra over the next 2 years to be able to pay that car note and pay that car off in 2 or 3 years. Even though I made that financial error in buying that car, if I'm in a position where I have a little bit of excess and I could get a side hustle to help me pay off that car, just buying that car alone over that 3 year period isn't going to crush my entire financial future. Because, hey, if I bought that car, I couldn't afford it, but I struggled and hustled to pay it off. After 3 years, it's paid off. And I kept that car for 7 years, for 10 years. At the end of the day, that financial decision, at the time, it may not have been the sharpest or the smartest decision to do, but it isn't one that's going to kick me in the you know what for the next 20 years and destroy my financial future. Now, similar scenario, I get a car, it takes me 3 to 4 years to pay it off. I can barely pay the bill, but I go get a side hustle, and while I'm doing the side hustle in year 2, I was like, oh man, you see that truck over there? I think I want to go buy this truck. So I trade my car in, I get a loan to get another truck. I have negative equity that I owe on that car, and I just roll it over into this new loan. And now it's just snowballing. That's making 2 bad financial decisions within a short period of time frame. So being a financial success, it does allow room for errors. You just can't make more bad decisions than you do good decisions. I did a video where I talked about one of the things that I did that almost screwed me up financially. Me and the wife went on a vacation back in the day. It was like a vacation to a resort, and we was broke as hell, but we always paid it for our vacations in cash. And it was one of these things where, like, hey, you can stay at this resort free for 4 days in Mexico or 5 days, if you sit through this 2-hour presentation. And I remember like, oh man, I can't beat that. All we got to do is pay for flights and the stuff we eating out there. So we go out there, we sit through the 2-hour presentation, and I see all this confetti and all this celebration. Yay, everything's going off. And I'm like, yo, what are those people doing over there? And the guy's like, those are people who became part of the such and such resort family. And I was like, oh man, that's cool. They bring them over a glass of champagne. And what did my dumb ass do? My dumb ass was like, oh babe, we can use this resort and all the other resorts. All we got to do is pay $6,000 a year and whatever the maintenance fees are. I thought it was a great idea. It was like the very first time I took my wife on a trip that was like, really a trip outside of the country. I was like, sign me up. And I signed up. Luckily for me, that thing bothered me the entire time I was there. I got back on the plane and I was reading over the contract, and it was like, you have 7 days to cancel this contract. And I called immediately when we landed. I was like, oh, I'm canceling. I faxed off the appropriate paperwork. But that was a financial decision that almost ruined me. To be financially successful, it allows for you to make some bad decisions every now and then. You just can't make compounding bad decisions within a short period of time. If throughout your next 20 years, you have 3 instances of something that probably wasn't the smartest to do financially, as long as it's not a really big fuck up, like okay, I bought a house and this house is 60% of my take home pay after taxes. Now that's one that is going to kick you in the nuts. But as long as it's not anything that's super major, most mistakes within reason you can bounce back from. So you all let me know in the comments, how do you define financial success? For me, it's not a number. It's not becoming a millionaire, having $2 or $3 million. It's just having a mind state of, I got stability. I got a stable job. I got a stable job that allows me to provide for my family and the things that they need and some of the things that they want. If an emergency come up, we can handle it. I'm able to be generous and help other family members or friends who may need it. That's to me is financial success defined by me. Y'all let me know if y'all definition is a number, a state of mind, a certain position. Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you got some value out of this video, make sure you hit the video link that's going to pop up on your screen. There's going to be more content related to finances and attorney reactions.